Presenting you today with a case that's before the Supreme Court that we should all find interesting if we live in America and use cellular phones, internet service, or work for somebody that does. You've probably seen it on your wireless bill, your cell bill. A little fee. It's about 71 cents, depending on how much you pay. It's 71 cents on my very modest bill of about 125 a month. If you pay more, it's a greater fee. If there's more users, it's a greater fee. So this little fee doesn't seem like much, 71 cents times 12 months. But when you have over 200 million users that pay that every month for years, and now it's been decades on it, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars that have passed through our private cellular companies, handing over these fees to the government and then not calling it a tax. And so the case before the Supreme Court right now is called, the FCC versus Consumers Research. So these two parties are opposing the way that this fee is being not only collected, but the way it's handled out, because what's happening is the Constitution grants the power to Congress to levy taxes, make laws. And the reason that was written like that, just for a little added bonus, is so that we elect those groups. We don't elect judges. We don't elect the Supreme Court. We don't elect, many of the judges that lead up to the Supreme Court. But we do elect the legislators. So therefore, they were given that power to make sure it's done well. So the little fee that we're talking about is the Universal Service Fund. And what's being questioned here is it constitutional for the way the Telecommunications Act of 1996 developed the FCC structure in such a way that it sounds like none of us could ever question what powers they have or don't have. They can pretty much do as they want. However, that's not what the Constitution says. So basically, the FCC is requiring private business, the ones, we pay for our cell service, the big ones, I'm not going to name them on this video. They collect the fee from us through our cell phone bill that we have to pay to have service. And then the FCC is not even collecting it. They've passed it off to a third-party administrator who collects it and tells the FCC, the formula for how much they should charge in the future based on a quarterly basis and what the expenses are going to be. So we've got billions and billions of dollars going out we didn't consent to. That's not even being handled, not by Congress. They've handed it over to the FCC, who has handled it over to a third party. That's why this case is important. So who has the power to tax the public? Well, according to our beautiful Constitution that was written and well thought out to grow with our ever-changing world that we live in, said that only Congress can. So if they're just passing the buck through this thing that they call the intelligible principle, because they wrote all the steps that the FCC would take to collect the fee and made it clear and what it required and what it didn't, that's supposed to be okay. And it lets them not review the statutes at all, or what's being done with the money, or, are they spending it on things we don't need or don't want to come from this fund. So the fund, the original purpose behind the fund was to, wanted everyone to have the infrastructure to have phone service at the most reasonable possible cost. And in those days, that was a good thing. And everybody could be in touch and call somebody, an operator or a friend or somebody, particularly in rural areas. So basically, it helps libraries keep services on, and they're able to use them. In emergencies, libraries can make communications that are necessary. People go there to look for employment, to upskill, entrepreneur, learning, and all that. I don't think any of us are against that. It also goes to fund connections in schools for children in public schools, all rural areas to have reasonably priced internet, and low-income communities, as well as rural medical professionals. So they all benefit, all those groups benefit from the Universal Service Fund. So now, why does this matter? Yeah, we're all for those things. Well, what matters is how they are taking it and distributing it, and that it has gone up and up and up and up, and that now the FCC, instead of relying on their own knowledge, is having this third-party administrator go out and make up the formula that they're going to charge, that our government is going to charge us, or actually charge the telecom companies to pay for this Universal Service Fund. So if the court rules against the FCC, it can mean Congress will finally have to start doing their job and being more directly involved in every fee, tax, or funding structure going forward. If the court says the current system is fine, agencies will then have even more power to collect and spend our money without any direct congressional oversight, and more importantly, without our consent. This case is still pending. A decision is coming shortly. It could reshape federal funding as we know it.